Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the planning board meeting for Tuesday, July 2nd. Can you all please join me in a pledge of allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Housekeeping. Usual reminder, everyone that addresses the board, please remember to turn on your microphone and speak clearly so that everybody at home and the minute keeper can keep up. The next planning board meeting, Cassie, July or August?
So we don't have anything on the agenda for our scheduled July 16th meeting. So with the board's permission, we would like to cancel that meeting. So if that is the case, then our next meeting is August 6th.
All right. We'll address that in a minute, but it looks like the next planning board meeting will be for August 6th, 2024. Consent agenda. So I have to address, let's see, which open positions? Bob. So John, I'm going to put you in for Bob tonight.
John, I
Oh.
believe is a full member.
You're a
Lynn
full
is
member.
the
I
alternate.
don't- You're the alternate.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So
Lynn,
I'm in
you get to be
for
Bob. My apologies. Oh, yeah.
No, we,
It caught me by surprise. Sorry about that. Let's see. And then, John, thank you for joining the planning board. I wanted to say thank you for that. All right. Cassie, anything on the consent agenda?
No, there are no items on the consent agenda tonight.
Okay. So, on to item number 3, Merrimack Parcel A, LLC. CO Thomas Monahan, applicant owner, request for approval of an amended site plan for mixed-use development in accordance with the Merrimack Park Place mixed-use conditional use permit. The proposal calls for a 100-room hotel and approximately 19,500 square foot two-story mixed-use building containing restaurant, commercial, and office space, and a 178 multifamily residential unit building. The parcels are located at the 1, 2, and 4 Lexington Court in the I-2 Industrial and Aquifer Conservation District and Wellhead Protection Area, Tax Map 3C, lots 191-2U2-191-2U4, Case Planning Board 2004-10, and the item is continued from May 7th, 2024 and June 4th, 2024. At this time, the applicant has requested a continuance to the August 6th, 2024 meeting.
I also move.
Is there a second? Second. All right, motion made by Lynn, seconded by John. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those abstaining, all those opposed, 4-0-0. The motion moves. Moving on to number 4. CA Property Acquisitions LLC is the applicant and BTC Realty, the owner. Continued review for final approval of a site plan to construct a 1-story, 8,451 square foot veterinary clinic and kennel with associated site improvements. The parcel is located at 106 Herrick Street in the C2 General Commercial and Aquifer Conservation Districts. Tax Map 3D-2, Lot 21, Case Planning Board 2024-12. The item is continued from May 21st, 2024 meeting and rescheduled from June 18th, which was a canceled meeting. Good evening.
Good evening. Hello, my name is Dan Romero. I'm from Hancock Associates in Concord, New Hampshire. My colleague Joe Pesnola was here for the last meeting on May 21st to introduce this project, which is the construction of a new building for the Merrimack Veterinary Hospital. And the new location will be at 106 Herrick Street. We're seeking conditional approval for the site plans and documents submitted on June 14th. With me today is Jory Zola from Compton Addy Real Estate and Jamie and Amy from NVA who can answer any questions related to architecture or hospital operations. So since the last meeting, we have addressed comments from the planning staff, the various departments, and the peer review engineer, Fuss and O'Neill. We've met with the Merrimack Village District to discuss water demand. We received a letter from them saying that there is adequate water availability for the proposed project. We've also met with Captain Smedic of the fire department and addressed any concerns they had regard to fire truck access and hydrant locations. We've also received a letter from New Hampshire DOT regarding their easement along Daniel Webster. They, in the last meeting, they had requested that we get some type of confirmation from DOT. So we have a letter similar to the letter that was provided for the previous development at 106, that Ultimate Bimmer Car Auto dealership. So we have that letter in hand. So I'll quickly just go over the bigger revisions from the last plans that were submitted. I'll pull up the architectural plans first. So one of the requests from the last meeting was to show elevations on all four sides of the building. So I'll do full screen here. F11. That's good enough. So here are the four elevations you can see. Another request from the last meeting was to show a view from Daniel Webster Highway to show the equipment on the roof and the screening for that. So here is that view and the rendering showing that angle. We've provided soundproofing details as well. So those are the major changes for architectural. As for traffic, we didn't revise anything from the first memo. There was one request to provide some context regarding the animal daycare aspect of traffic, because that's not in their technical traffic manual. So they did perform a traffic count at the existing Merrimack Veterinary Hospital. Those counts were in line with what TEC had. We actually project lower traffic than that because we're going from overnight boarding to just strictly animal daycare. So we predict the count will be around there, if not a little bit less. So I'll pull up the civil plans now and show the other revisions that were made.
Excuse me.
Yes.
You're going from overnight to daily, and you're going to have less traffic?
Yes, overnight boarding. They're
Yeah.
getting rid of the overnight boarding service, so it's just during the day.
So you're going to have
Animal
traffic
daycare.
in and out every day, as opposed to traffic coming in to drop off and then coming in a different day to pick up. That sounds like more traffic.
Well, they're
to
going to
me.
have the daycare. I can let them speak to that. Yeah.
I think this is on. Amy Hebert, 1 Bissell Camp Road, Wyndham, New Hampshire. I'm the hospital director for Merrimack. Currently, our services are, or we actually just closed overnight boarding, so we no longer offer it, but we currently have daycare at our current location. So it's a service that's going to move. Those were included in the original numbers. So we're not adding an additional daycare service.
Oh,
But they
okay.
are eliminating boarding.
Correct. It's
Which
already
they've eliminated already. I'm
Yes.
just trying to understand if daycare service versus overnight actually has less traffic, which is what I heard you say. Didn't understand if that
But
meant,
they have
Well-
daycare now.
When the count was
Yeah.
done, it was daycare and overnight. So the new service will just be daycare. That was my presumption of being less traffic.
and where are you now? You're just further down DW now?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yep.
the idea is that just by moving up the street, it's not going to have any impact traffic-wise,
Yes.
even though you're closer to exit 11? Or now
Yes.
you're
Yeah. The
between
traffic.
exits
It's in
10
the
and
traffic report. They went more in depth with that. So they said there would be no impact on traffic based on the move.
11. Okay, thank you.
So I'll pull up the layout materials plan. So not much has changed in regard to layout. We're showing snow storage areas. We're showing 2 potential parking spaces for EV charging. We're showing the DOT slope easement along Daniel Webster now on all sheets. We're also listing the required permits that will be needed prior to construction as requested in the staff comments. Skip over to grading and drainage. 2 additional test pits were done in the area of the infiltration basin to confirm groundwater elevation. We have also added a water treatment unit before the stormwater reaches the sediment forebay, which satisfies one of Fuss and O'Neill's comments regarding the groundwater offset. We've regraded the basin to address one of Fussin and O'Neill's comments regarding freeboard. We've also added a statement to this plan stating that stormwater flow off-site will not change conditions to the downstream properties and abutters. This concern was brought up by the DPW in regard to the development across Herrick Street. We're not increasing any flows off the site, and they're also concerned with the condition of the culvert going across Herrick Street. We'll gladly take on any conditions that they want. I saw that one of their conditions was going to be a TV inspection, for example. So we'll gladly take on any conditions that DPW wants to see in regard to that culvert. We've provided pipe flow calculations, hydraulic grade line diagram, New Hampshire DSBMP worksheets in the stormwater report. We've upped our minimum pipe size to 15 inches based on local requirements, changed the material to RCP, which helped us meet the cover requirements based on Merrimack DPW standards. Those are the major changes for grading and drainage. So for utilities, the sewer department had requested we extend the sewer main to the extreme edge of the property. So we've extended that line, added an additional manhole. They also wanted more information on the sewer manhole at the intersection of King Street and Herrick Street. So we got plans from them, updated our inverts based on those plans, but we'll still need confirmation in the field prior to installation just to make sure that those inverts are accurate and it was built according to those plans we were given. We've also added a stub, sewer stub for the property across the street based on the sewer department comments, and added additional information on the existing gas line. So the lighting plan, one of the changes to the lighting plan was we added building lighting. So that is reflected on the photometric plan. We've also added, so these are the detail sheets. The detail sheet was added to add all the details and notes that were requested in the first review. We've also added a fire truck maneuvering plan showing fire truck access around the building. We had our meeting with the captain as well, so he verified the truck size and all of that to be satisfying his requests. Another thing I want to read verbatim is the letter that we submitted for waivers to the architectural design of the building, and this is based on this property being within the transitional district. We're requesting 2 waivers. Acting on behalf of CA Acquisitions LLC, hereby request the following waivers. Site Plan Regulations Section 312D33 roofing, and the second waiver would be to Site Plan Regulations Section 312D35 for doorways. We now understand the project is in the transitional design district per Fussin O'Neill review comment that states the proposed site appears to be in the transitional design district. We note that this district only permits flat roofs on buildings of 2 or more stories. The applicant has also not provided a public entrance on each side of the building that faces an abutting street as required. The building facade does meet with the requirements with vestibules in the front and the pet relief area alcove in the rear. So for the first waiver, which is in regard to roofing, as we presented at the initial public hearing, the project architect has designed a flat roof building. The planning board discussed at the first hearing the need for screening the mechanicals on the roof, but no discussion on introducing a pitched roof. The regulations called for roofing pitched or hip roofed design with slopes with an average slope greater than or equal to 1 foot of vertical rise for every 3 feet of horizontal run, with overhanging eaves extending not less than 18 inches beyond the supporting walls. Varied roof planes, gabled windows, and other similar features are encouraged. Flat roofs are only permitted for buildings of 2 or more stories. Given the lack of visibility of the building from Daniel Webster Highway based on the site topography, we believe the lack of prominence within the intended commercial view, the lack of prominence within the intended commercial view corridor lessens the need for this architectural detail. Merrimack Veterinary Hospital would rather focus on spending money on interior fit and finishes to better serve their customers while providing enhanced soundproofing to make sure the neighbors are not impacted. The project architect has prepared prospective renderings of the building from Daniel Webster that now include provisions to screen the rooftop mechanicals. These provisions, coupled with the ability to locate mechanical equipment on the roof, will further mitigate impacts to the neighbors compared to locating mechanical equipment on the ground level should we have to provide a pitched roof design. We respectfully request the board waive this requirement. The second waiver would be to the doorway requirement. The regulations call for doorways. All sides of any principal building that directly face an abutting public street shall feature at least one public entrance. All public door or entryways shall be clearly defined through utilization of at least two or more of the following features: porticos, porches, roof overhangs, raised cornice parapets over the door, peaked roof forms, accent windows, recesses, projections, arcades, arches, display windows, architectural details such as tilework and moldings, planters, wing walls, landscape walkways, benches, or built-in seating, or other similar features. Public entrances should be located in such a way as to minimize walking distances from parking areas, facilitate ready pedestrian access from public sidewalks, and provide for safe and convenient access to differing units or buildings in multi-tenant sites. As you know, our site is bounded on 3 sides by public ways, as stated in the regulation. The intent is to facilitate ready pedestrian access. Given the location and steep slopes along Daniel Webster Highway and the south leg of Herrick Street, the requirement does not seem to apply to this site. We respectfully request the board waive this requirement. So, in depth, those are the 2 waivers we're asking waivers for. And with that, we ask that the board accepts this application with the conditions you see fit. We'll be fully cooperative with making sure these conditions are met. And at this time, I'd like to open the floor for any questions from the board. And my team is here as well to answer any questions regarding.
All right, board comments, questions, concerns?
Excuse me, because I'm just coming up to speed on this, if this has already been asked. So you stated that you will not be having overnight boarding of animals. Will there be animals kept overnight for convalescence from injuries, operations, et cetera?
Possibly.
Sorry, Jamie Roach, the medical director at Merrimack. The idea is to ship everything with ER hospitals within the district. So we've got an ER hospital in Nashua, we've got an ER hospital in Manchester. Now,
Can you pull the mic down?
better practices of medicine is to ship everything overnight. So right now, I would say yes, we would aim to ship everything at night. There will be an occasional, probably financial case where we can't, and we will, keep them overnight with them having the knowledge that there's nobody there overnight. But right now, gold standard of medicine is to ship it to an ER or send it home for the night and have it back the next morning. So the goal is no, but I would never say 100% because unfortunately, sometimes cases come through where we can feasibly treat them with owner's approval to keep them overnight.
So typically spaying an animal, you're not
Nope,
gonna keep
everything
it-
goes home same day surgically wise. Yep. And if a surgical case is bad, it goes to an ER.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
you're welcome.
And I understand that you are going to be putting screening on the mechanicals on the flat roof if we approve the flat
Correct.
roof. Okay.
Correct.
Did we discuss the noise abatement? How you're gonna manage all the noises?
Yeah, so there is a.
That was not part of the waivers they were looking for.
Oh, we're just discussing waivers.
We're dealing
We're
with waivers right now.
dealing with waivers
My,
right now.
my apologies.
That's
Okay.
right.
All right, any other questions?
Well, so this view of the roof from here, is that at ground level? Or is that,
I
6,
believe
8
it's
feet
at-
high where people are
It's
gonna be in a
raised.
car or a truck or something
Yes,
going by?
yeah. That was the intent, yes. Like a car driving by. Yep.
Okay, and you have housing behind your building, correct?
That we're not building, no.
I know you're not building it, but you're
That's-
next door to house, there are people that live in houses next to this, right?
Yes.
Well, it looks like a big commercial building.
Yes, there's
which is
screening
what
on the side
we
of the
Typically try
residential.
to get away from with pitched roofs and things like that, is to make them look a little less stark. And-
Yes,
And that's
yeah.
part of why we've required that in the past.
Understood. Yeah,
This is
so,
a fairly large building to try and put a pitched roof on.
yes.
And so I was just wondering if maybe a partial pitch all the way around the edges or something, just to make it not look quite so square, where it comes up 4 or 5 feet and does the effective screening. But,
That is something we could discuss with our architect, to see if there's some type of.
I would think that your screening could be pitched.
well, but the screening is this little bitty bit in this very center there. It's not really, it's not doing anything to take away the stark edges of the building.
But I think if the screening, first of all, if you're gonna pitch it, then it would have to be bigger, because you're dropping the level down.
The
So-
level.
Well, you've got like 4 feet there. And if you pitch it, you're gonna need to go to 6 feet, because you're
Well-
dropping the end down.
Yeah, but this is all centered inside of the building roof, right? None of it comes out to the edge and takes care of the edge of that wall.
Certainly looks like it does.
You're looking at a different picture than I am.
If you look in the middle of the roof, you'll see the screening.
They're not talking about coming up an extra 4 feet on the
talking about the
walls,
facade.
just that
Oh, you're
piece.
talking about just the center of it?
Yeah, that's the only screening they're talking
Yeah,
about putting in there.
let's see what we can do for pitching.
Okay, so you'd like to see the architect work on something in regard to the pitching of the roof?
Something on, I think what Tom is talking about, and I agree, that just doing that little bit of screening just where the mechanicals are, doesn't really do anything to the aesthetics of the building. It's
It-
kind of ugly, as a matter
I
of
mean,
fact.
it does hide the
Mechanicals, but
mechanicals,
it-
but that's all it does. It just says, here's where all the mechanicals are on this big, flat, square, cornered roof.
And a pitched roof is what we're asking for, because it's aesthetically much more pleasing to the eye. And just screening the mechanicals in that little square box doesn't help that.
I'll let Jory
Ye-
speak to
Yes,
this.
Jory Zola, I think I'm supposed to introduce myself, right?
Yeah.
Please.
Jory Zola with CA Commercial.
Mike.
Turn your mic.
Oh, yeah,
There's a light up there.
Oh,
There you go.
Sorry about that. Jory Zola from CA Commercial Development. I'm a real estate developer on this particular project. Address is 8723 Winfield Lane, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45249. I think that we can work with the town to try and create some visual aesthetics to help either pull up the walls to screen those mechanicals. I'm hesitant without the presence of a structural engineer to confirm that we can or cannot do anything concrete with respect to pitching. But I think that generally speaking, we're agreeable to working with the town to try and either pull the height of the
Push the
walls up.
piece.
Well, the height of the wall is just gonna keep it a big, square, flat roof
Or
building, which is,
create some
I mean,
architectural separation with pilasters or something of that sort to break up the features of the roof a bit.
I mean, just even a partial pitched line that went, 8 feet up or something and back,
Yeah.
and left the flat roof in the middle with everything hidden behind it.
Yeah, I mean,
Building
again,
something like
these
that.
are all things that we're
Yeah.
open to doing. We want to make sure that we're adding to the community here, not detracting from it, and whatever we can do, we'll do. I just can't, without being a structural engineer, commit to anything concrete, but can commit to, working hand in hand with the town to come up with a solution that's viable and makes everybody happy.
Casey, can we approve the waiver subject to community development approving the change to the roof line?
That is an option.
Okay.
I think a downside to that approach, typically we want conditions to be more objective and not subjective. So it would just be up to the comfort level of the planning board. If you want staff to have that authority to decide if it's up to the.
I think staff understands what
Okay.
we've been saying.
Okay.
Do you? Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
Relative to the roof, no.
Well, relative to the waivers, they
Either
have another
waiver.
waiver on the doorways.
What, the other waiver was,
Only
the
one
the
public
doorways
access.
and whatnot, that your one wall that faces the rest of Herrick Street is very blank and it's got, It has 2 doors and 3 windows in it or something, and no doorway, no anything on it. Go back,
There will be,
bottom one here.
there will be signage. We just have a placeholder for it right now, but.
It looks very
Oh,
industrial, is all
you're
I'm saying.
talking about that?
The bottom view there from a side street, I mean, that faces a street, and it looks very industrial, and
Talking aesthetics again.
that's the whole point of, or that's
Yeah,
half the
I
point,
think the
guess,
waiver that we're actually requesting though is for.
is not having to put a door there.
Public access door.
On the
No,
other
it's
side,
it's
The
actually,
public access door ought to be on this wall facing the street, right?
that's what it is. We're asking for a waiver from.
I
the-
get it, and so I'm asking, what can we do about that wall to make it not look quite so blank?
No,
So-
the waiver that we're asking for is not having a door, not on this side, on the other side.
Okay, well,
There
what are you
will
gonna do
be a-
about this side? Are you gonna dress up these doors a little bit so that they're not just steel doors on the side of a building?
Sure,
I mean, there's no- there's no
we're
portico, there's no
happy to
benches,
do
there's no
that,
roof
but
line, there's no nothing.
we're happy to do that.
I have no problem with not having one on the DW highway side.
That's what we're asking for the waiver from. There will be a door on the side that the side that
Well,
you're
there's a
looking at
door
right
here,
now.
but it's not got any of the dressing on it that this,
No, I understand, but I think this conversation is with respect to the waiver
okay.
itself. if
The
I'm
the
not-
waiver says all sides. This is one of 3 sides, and I just didn't want to give a blanket waiver that says you don't have to worry about it if we're not talking about this side.
We were speaking to pedestrian access a bit too, since there's no sidewalks, public sidewalks to this area. That was kind of built into the regulation as we read it. So that was another reason for
I
that
thought it was
waiver request.
pedestrians from the street, from the parking lot.
From the
I didn't realize
parking
it was
lot.
Pedestrians from the street. I mean,
The bottom view,
They can-
is that the one that faces DW Highway?
no.
No,
It says east.
Well,
that is facing.
I'm sorry, that's
Herrick
on,
Street.
that's on the opposite side of DW.
Yeah.
That's facing the south side of Herrick Street.
Yes. Yep.
And
Herrick Street is
down
north.
at that level. Herrick
Curves
Street is
around
north
it,
and
though.
curves
Okay.
underneath.
Go around it, okay.
Yeah.
So which one faces Herrick Street?
Well,
So this bottom one faces Herrick Street and also the front elevation here. This faces the first portion of Herrick Street as you enter from
that's
Daniel
the
Webster.
slope coming down up DW.
So this is Herrick Street, and then Herrick Street goes around the
Well, two of them can't face Herrick Street.
Yeah, they can.
Oh, because they're on the
It-
corner.
it
Oh,
wraps
I got it.
around.
Okay, yep, got it. Sorry.
So, board, how do we feel about this?
Like I said, I don't have a problem with the west view from DW Highway. But I don't want to just give a blanket, forget about the east view, because that's visible from the street. It's got, most of the parking is on that side, or at least a fair amount of it. And it's not a public entrance, I'm guessing, which makes a problem. But it could be dressed up to be more aesthetically nice.
I mean, if you have suggestions, again.
There actually is no door on the east side, correct?
Well, there's no public door.
I don't see any
Those-
door.
These are doors.
Are they doors?
They better be, they go to the ground.
Those access, those emergency exits, or there's access?
Exterior wall pack lighting above them, it's doors.
Okay.
Referencing.
Back, those right there, those are
These-
doors, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think, do you know exactly what those are?
One of those doors is an employee entrance, the other is out from an exam room. The reason there's no windows on that door is it's a euthanasia exam room, and so ultimately you want that client to have privacy.
I don't need a window in the door, I just think the wall looks very, very industrial. And
Yeah, on that side, you have X-ray, just have things that maybe can't have windows. per
I
se.
get it. We used to have a member who was very much into the artistic flavor of this, and she would want to see broken up walls or some other kind of thing to try and make it not look so bland.
I think that's fair and a reasonable ask. I mean, we are happy to break it up. We can bring, I mean, the wainscoting up a little bit. We
Yep.
can break it up with some
Yeah.
pilasters. I mean,
Right.
that's not an issue.
So is that
If
another
that-
one, Casey, that we can,
I've been
Condition.
thinking about it, and I think the cleanest way to address this, is if, as long as the board, this is the board's wish, but to grant the waivers, but then, when you conditionally approve the project, tag on those conditions, that way the conditions are actually on the
Okay.
notice of decision. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, and then just be very clear on what those conditions are, and that will give guidance to staff later
Okay.
on.
Okay.
I can do that. We can do that.
Okay.
Excuse me, that's all the comments I had.
Okay.
No,
Board,
those are good comments.
we ready to vote on the waivers? Is there a motion?
I will move that we grant the waivers, both waiver requests, based on specific circumstances relative to the site plan or conditions of the land in such site plan indicate that the waiver will probably carry out the spirit and intent of the regulations.
Is there a second?
I second.
All right. Motion made by Lynn, seconded by John.
Do you want to add anything about a final approval or anything like
We'll
that?
I
gonna
think we do
vote
that
on-
on final approval.
We're gonna vote down then on the,
We go to
Well,
final
condition.
approval
That's
next.
best to be a separate
And we
motion.
add
Separate
the
motion.
I would have thought
conditions
that
there.
had to be part of the motion. I'm not going to vote for it because I feel like it's a little too wide open.
understood, so all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those against? All those
No,
Oh, all those abstaining? Abstaining?
I'm abstaining. I said no.
No, understood. Okay, that is a 3-1-0. Motion moves. Moving on to the conditional final approval of the application. Are there any comments, concerns, or questions about that? I, for one, was curious about the sound control.
Yes, so there was a submittal from the architect. I could pull it up right now, but there was a submittal that included the details of the
Yeah.
walls and the
We
level
got
of
that.
soundproofing. Do you want me to pull that up?
If you don't mind,
Yep.
just so I can understand it a
So you
little
can
bit.
explain it.
Yeah,
Actually, we'll have
just a little clarity on it.
Yeah. I didn't know what the numbers meant.
Yeah. I didn't think there were decibels, so I didn't understand what SCT meant. STC.
So there are details on the wall assemblies. There's a rating here, what can be heard. Very loud sounds such as musical instruments are barely heard. That is the rating they describe. The insulation type is rock wool bat insulation and open cell spray foam insulation. And then they provide some graphical details of how
Okay.
that'll be done too.
Ultimately, the neighbors, the people living in the houses, they're not gonna hear
Dogs screaming.
dogs
No,
barking
they-
all day.
No, they
I listen to it
shouldn't-
now, so I know what it can be
They,
like.
they shouldn't, given the decibel count.
Is there an outside area for the dogs to exercise that are there?
Yeah, there's a small outdoor pet relief area, but we are keeping them confined inside for the majority of the day to offset any weather challenges, because we have it right now, and we have an outdoor area, and they're outside, honestly, 75% of the year, and they do okay. There's no, major sound disturbances, even with clients coming in and us dealing with sick pets. But we are moving to an all indoor, so hopefully that even cuts down even more, because they will just be outside to go to the bathroom and come right back, and it's a very, very small pet relief area, in hopes that we can get 365 days use of it as opposed to our limited use right now.
Okay,
Okay.
Understood.
thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I have to admit that not having been here for the
I
previous
understand.
presentation, I have no idea what is open for discussion at this point, or, if the board is happy with it. Essentially, I don't have a problem with the veterinary hospital being there,
Understood.
with the conditions that have been put in here.
All right, board, so we now need to vote on the accepting the application, and mind you, the
It's
conditions,
been accepted.
conditional approval, but also mind you, the conditions that you discussed.
Conditional
So is
final approval.
conditional final approval.
Let me get wordage here.
So is there a motion?
I will make a motion
Is there, oh, sorry.
to find that the granted waivers and recommended conditions of approval, the application meets all applicable regulatory requirements necessary, and further to grant conditional final approval to the application subject to the recommended conditions of approval presented in the staff memo dated June 14th, and with two additional. Oh, I'm sorry. Grace, I'll go back. I make a motion to find that with the granted waivers and the recommended conditions of approval, the application meets all applicable regulatory requirements necessary, and further, to grant conditional final approval to the application, subject to the recommended conditions of approval presented in the staff memo dated June 14th, 2024, and two additional conditions. One relative to the roof line.
I was gonna, for that one, I was gonna say condition on adequate adjustment of roof line along edge of building to break up the top edge of the wall, i.e. pitched partial roof along the wall edge to hide the entirety of the flat roof and mechanicals.
And a second condition relative to the east wall, adding,
To improve the aesthetics and, appearance and dress up the industrial
wall.
nature of the view from Herrick Street.
does that work for you, Casey?
To be clear, is this a improvement to the facade, or are you looking for more landscaping?
It's
or
to the facade.
the facade itself? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I did not get down everything in the first
Wait,
condition,
he's
but
got
I
it
can.
here.
Okay,
You
yeah,
got
that'd be
it.
great, thank you.
Sorry, I'm usurping your authority.
No, you're fine.
We need a second.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, motion made by Lynn, seconded by John. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those against? All those abstaining? 4-0-0. Motion, the vote carries. That's it. All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for your time.
Moving on to item number 5. Conote? Cassie, how's that pronounced?
Conote.
Conote? Conote LLC applicant and Connor Biot, owner. Review for acceptance and consideration of a 4-lot subdivision. The parcel is located at 103 Severance Bridge Road in the R2 Residential by Soils and Aquifer Conservation District, Tax Map 3A, Lot 55, Case Planning Board 2024-8. The applicant has requested a continuance to the August 6th, 2024 meeting.
Okay.
I don't know where Lynn went, but.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
they've requested a continuance to the August 6th meeting.
All right. Vote.
So,
You can't vote without her, so.
What?
All right, so we'll just hang for a minute.
Yeah.
We're getting
Why
there.
are they requesting a continuance?
That's a great question. So they needed a variance from the zoning board to approve the lots without the required frontage for each of the 4 lots. They did get their variance earlier this month, but they want to wait out their 30-day appeal period before they go before the planning board. That way there's no risk of an appeal.
Okay, thank you.
Elizabeth,
Sorry, guys.
you're fine. We, on the continuance, is there a motion to grant the continuance?
Move to grant the continuance for, as
August 6th.
listed.
Is there a second?
Oh, John, you're doing
guess I'm
so
the
well
second.
with
You're the
this.
second. All right. Motion made by Tom, seconded by John. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, all those abstaining, 4-0-0. Motion carries.
You're getting so good at it.
You are. All right, number 6, Planning and Zoning Administrators Report. Cassie?
Yeah. So the community development staff, we have approved 3 administrative approvals since your last planning board meeting. 2 of those were for accessory dwelling units, and 1 was for a change of tenant.
Okay, and I also need to bring up a subject that the planning board is required to have a representative to the Heritage Commission. Is there any interested parties?
It can't be a town council member.
And it cannot, oh, nice, Tom. That
I
seems to work
think,
out well.
I think we need to postpone this.
Because we have one already.
Right, I think we need to postpone this till we
Yes.
have a full board.
I just wanted to see if anybody was interested. Cass, do I have to vote to postpone it?
No.
Or I can just postpone it?
Nope, you
till-
could just state that it's being
All right,
tabled to
we're
the next
gonna
meeting.
table it until the next meeting when there are more people available.
I don't
Possibly
like
be
to,
interested.
I don't like to appoint people when they're not
Voluntold?
present.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's actually the
The best way to
That's
do
the
it.
best way to do
best
it.
way to do it.
That's
Nobody
not-
wants to be
They weren't
voluntold.
here.
That's not
They
fair.
knew better.
That's not
All
fair.
right, the minutes, approval of the minutes for June 4th. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I will so move.
Is there a second?
I can't second that one, I wasn't here.
Yeah, you can actually,
You
but
can,
I'll second
if
it.
you
read them.
watch the meeting, you can second it.
If you watch it or read it, I read them.
I'll second it.
All right, motion made by Lynn, seconded by Tom. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
those against, all those abstaining, oh,
You
no,
can
abstaining.
abstain if you want.
No, I'm staying.
So, 3-0-1, motion carries, and it adjourns. All
No,
those-
Motion to
I've got,
adjourn?
no, I've got 2 things I want to bring up to
Okay.
particularly Casey. Our procedures say minutes will be published within, what's it say, 30 days of the meeting?
So we don't publish the minutes until after they have been approved.
But
As-
the procedures say we will, and I think we need to change the procedures to say draft minutes are available prior to then.
Okay, I can check into that.
Okay, please, if you would. And to prevent this from happening again, when we know that somebody is going to ask for a continuance, can we publish that in our agenda? Or somehow so that prevent people from making a special trip when
Yeah.
we know we've got to do something.
The logistics of that are a little tough because usually we don't know about a continuance request until a couple days before the meeting.
Yeah, but sometimes we do.
Yeah, right, yeah. I think we could do an updated agenda that goes on the website. And
The
so
day
that-
before
So that
was-
way if someone did click on the agenda the
Right.
day of the meeting, it would
And
say.
they should be doing that.
Yeah, but so another risk though, something that gives me hesitation is just because the applicant emailed us and said, hey, we're going to request a continuance, theoretically, there could be a change and they could
Yep.
show up at this meeting and end up doing a presentation. There's no actual continuance until the planning board votes on the
Right.
continuance, so
Right. So
it
you'd have
it
to
is a
make
little
that clear
tricky.
in your agenda change.
Right.
That's tough.
It's, a continuance has been requested, is all you can say. You
But
can't
not
say-
granted yet by the planning board.
Yeah, right, we could put that disclaimer. It's tough, because I would
I
hate
know.
for someone to not show up, but then for the meeting to go on.
Figure
But,
out
yeah.
a way to word it so that we can get it on the agenda and prevent this if we can.
Okay, yeah,
Great. Thank you.
Is that both?
Yep.
Need 2 minutes?
Yep.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I think you had one.
Oh, you do.
So moved.
So moved.
I'll
Motion
second.
made by Lynn. Okay, Tom, and seconded by Lynn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, all those abstaining, 4-0-0, meeting adjourned. Thank you, guys.